If you've been online recently, you may have seen our pension adverts once or twice. But did you know that Abacus offers so much more than pensions? We have over 40 years experience, and with over 10 accountants we can provide accounting, payroll and tax planning services. We also have dedicated teams with professionals in company formation, trust and estate planning, funds and family office services. Visit our website at www.abacus.gi to find out more.
Thank you for joining us. The purpose of my talk this morning is really just to give a context to what we're doing and what Think Business, Think Gibraltar really is all about.
It is part of Gibraltar's growing international appeal that we welcome people travelling from so many places across the globe to share in our events.
Well, I began my remarks today by noting how significant the Gibraltarian insurance market is to the ABI, but more importantly to consumers in the UK. And we remain fully supportive of this market and of the choice that it gives UK customers.
So in the context of private clients, when they're looking at a jurisdiction that is reliable, stable, safe, we think we tick those boxes quite well.
I'm very excited about it, and I think now is the time really for managers to start really looking at other alternatives other than just looking at the traditional, is it Luxembourg, is it Ireland in a post-Brexit world. I think now will be, what about Gibraltar?
Today. I've started my business career about 20 years ago. During this time, I built different companies in different industries. About a decade ago, I invested in an online marketing agency. I decided to master everything around online marketing, and I've been working with my teams ever since. Obviously, in the last few years, very little because of my focus on blockchain and crypto. I'm also a lawyer, but I never represented clients. It was for myself and for business. And beside that, I invested in 14 different startups before crypto. And I also advised and mentored many different startups, not only the ones that I invested in. 3.5 years ago, I was introduced to blockchain and cryptocurrency. I decided that it's the future, not just for the financial markets, but for many different other industries, such as legal, real estate, research, medical, and basically, I think that blockchain will be relevant for almost any industry out there at some point. And then I founded the Cointelligence. We were focused on research, education, and on a personal level, we did a lot of trading and investments, and then we decided to start Cointelligence Fund based on the personal success that I had with my team members, partner and team members. And With regards to Cointelligence research, I'll just add that we've analyzed more than 500, actually it's up to almost 600 companies by now, blockchain and cryptocurrency companies. Unfortunately, out of these companies, we've called out almost 100 different scams. We are well known in the crypto community to be the scam fighters. We just noticed that there's too many scams and nobody did anything about it back then, so we started calling them out. And with regards to education, I have to say one important thing that I'm always saying: blockchain and cryptocurrency is not just for developers. It's very important to understand, and we are trying to educate the public. And we're also offering our, for example, our one-on-one free class because we want people to get involved as much as possible. And it's not just for developers. So I'm inviting everyone to get interested and get a part of to be a part of this amazing revolution. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's super positive. I really like it. So we will talk a little bit more about Cointelligence in just a few minutes and the work that you do with that, because I think it's incredible. But I just want to go over to Aaron for a little bit and tell him, well, he already knows. He's almost a regular in the crypto headlines these days and part of our family here. We hosted the INX. And that was great with setting up their security token with the US Commission. That was amazing work there. Tell us a little bit about yourself, obviously, and the projects you've been working on as a fintech specialist.
Yeah, so again, thank you for inviting us, and thank you for the great work that you and Mark are doing. I think it's a pretty important piece in the crypto ecosystem here in Gibraltar. So yeah, don't underestimate the value that you add. With respect to myself, so I'm a lawyer, but my background is in mathematics, actually, and mathematics and asset management. So working in funds and in crypto has been just a great area of law for me, very, very motivating and very rewarding, and just a place where I can really apply my skills to the fullest effect. And yeah, as I say, so we've been doing for 13 years now, working as a funds lawyer, for over 4 years now as a crypto lawyer. So in between, you've got the crypto funds, which is what has brought us here today. We actually, Hassans, myself, we set up the first 3 regulated crypto funds in Gibraltar. Unfortunately, that was at a point when the crypto winter came in dramatic fashion. So those funds never really took off. But now we've had another bite at the cherry, and with funds like Cointelligence, we've been able to set up very many crypto funds, and I think again it provides a very good basis for Gibraltar moving forward in this space.
Yeah, definitely. It's good. I mean, I think out of all the horrible things that have been happening around the world, the one thing that we're all sure of is that, as you said, on the crypto world, the technology behind it is something that is definitely here to stay. And it's actually become a lot more mainstream during this time because people have realized the power that it has. So you are doing some incredible work with your academy in educating people in the space, as you say, for the general public, just for their knowledge. I think it's a question of upskilling also, because you have to learn as you earn, right? You have the Women in Blockchain podcast, is something super important to help with the inclusivity in the space. But tell us a little bit about that, and also about your experience in building those startups and investing in those startups, as you said before, during this time.
Sure. So with regards to the Women in Blockchain podcast, it's a part of our education in general. And we, when we started the Women in Blockchain podcast, we found that there's very few women in the space. And we know that unless women will be involved in crypto will not be mass adopted. As much as men think that they rule the world, it doesn't work that way. And we also think that we actually need the help of women and women's perspective to grow this amazing innovation and amazing industry. So we started the podcast, and with regards to startups in general. So yes, I've had a lot of experience with building startups, with managing startups, helping founders, and with no regards to specifically to crypto, because crypto is like a whole new world, and even the high tech and the startup industry, to me, is considered the old world when we compare it to crypto, because it's a completely different ball game. It's so much faster. It's so much more intense. Just as an example, I don't think anyone imagined. At least I went to sleep last night and I woke up to this huge Bitcoin crash because of a single tweet by one person. So it's crazy, and everybody are now busy today analyzing the situation and analyzing what happened, how it happened, what's going to happen next, and so on and so on. And this is the best time to look at all the charts that they got nothing to do with reality. So it's just one example. But going back to the startups question, so I've had a lot of experience. I think that the most important thing that I would like to mention today is the fact that with cryptocurrencies, it's actually the first time in history that everything around high-tech and startups can be completely democratized, can be completely shared with so many different people in the world. And that's why I was such a big fan of the ICO concept. And if anyone that is listening to us doesn't know what the ICO means, it's an initial coin offering. Basically, we had the ICO craze during 2017 to 2018. We've had projects raising hundreds of millions of US dollars within minutes, hours, or days, which was something that nobody ever saw before. But obviously, we've found so many scams back then. So don't get me wrong. It also has its negative parts, but the positive part is that it's not just for the very closed group of founders and investors that we see keep creating startups, raising huge money for them, and then doing the exits, because it is the situation for too long. And with cryptocurrencies, there is a chance that it will completely change. And one, founders that do not get the support that they should be getting will start getting it. And second, it means that investors will be able to participate when they couldn't participate before, because they didn't know about the projects, because they had no way of knowing about the projects before they hit the headlines. So I think that it's very beneficial, and it's a huge change with cryptocurrency. And the last thing that I will say about startups is that I would recommend anyone to get involved in a startup in some way. Even if you're working full-time, if you have a full-time job, I would advise to get involved in a startup, because it can completely change you, because you can find things about yourself that you didn't know, because you can it can affect you in a very deep way. And I've seen founders change completely during the process of building a startup. And obviously, I have so much to say about startups. So if you want, you can ask me specific questions.
No, we could talk about this forever, because I love everything to do with startups. So on that note, I'm going to ask you, Aaron, as well, how important is it for a more traditional corporate law firm as is Hassans to be engaging and working with startups nowadays?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to echo what On has said. I've been involved with some startups myself, and it's incredible how much you learn There's things you would never even think about, and you tackle problems that you would never do so otherwise. And I agree, it's a great way to accelerate your learning and your development in many aspects. Now, in terms of us as lawyers getting involved with startups, I think it is of paramount importance. I don't think that it's any use to have a law firm that is charging their regular fees or high fees to a startup. It just does not make sense. You want to help them grow to a level where they can start paying your fees. So it's more a long-term approach that we take with startups. But it is imperative, because there are many startups that if they do not take off, the mistakes they make will not have any impact. But if they do take off, then there are key decisions along the way that, with the right advice, you can structure yourself properly and then not encounter many problems in the future. Things, just as an example, your intellectual property, your trademark, your branding, all of these things, if you can protect them at an early stage, then it helps when you grow big enough for it to matter. So, as I say, I think many startups do not contact lawyers because of that thinking, and perhaps rightly so, that it's very expensive to engage with a law firm. I would say, particularly with my law firm, can't speak for anyone else. We encourage startups. We encourage startups as much as possible. So I'm still waiting for On to pay my fees, for example. That don't think that I'm ever going to get them, but no. But on a serious note, it's just long-term thinking for us as a law firm, right? You help people grow, and then you'll make money together. But at the same time, you're part of something which feels good. It is about. It's not just transactional work. You're actually changing the life of these founders.
Yeah.
And if they go on to do big things and good things, then you're also a part of it. So absolutely.
Yeah, I think in terms of the work that you do, and I know locally as well, a lot of the projects you get involved in, you take on a much more of an advisory role in terms of like the general picture of what's happening. And as they grow, then you establish a more professional relationship in terms of what you provide as a service, which is a great support. And it's what you need right at the beginning. So you've gone from Cointelligence. You've told us a little bit about that. How has that evolved into the Cointelligence Fund? Tell us a little bit about that process and what they both mean.
Sure. So we were very much focused on research, and then we were focused on education. And during that time, we were active personally. As I mentioned before, my partner and some of my team members at Cointelligence, we were all doing investing and trading on a personal level. And I personally have a very big issue with people that are raising money for something that they cannot actually manage, that they cannot actually say, yes, we know how to do this. We have the right experience to do it. We have the right knowledge to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. With startups, everything is completely brand new. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a matter of knowing and understanding everything that's going to happen. Obviously, with startup, it's never possible. But when we saw, for just as an example, when we analyzed the ICOs, we noticed that there's too many CTOs that never developed one code in anything that is related to blockchain or cryptocurrencies before. And they were raising millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions, which is crazy to me. So obviously, we thought about starting a fund at a very early stage. When we started Cointelligence, it took only a couple of months to start talking about a fund. But then we decided that until we will have the right personal experience, we will not be doing it, and we will not be asking people to invest in us. Actually, we don't look at it as investing in us. It's investing with us because we are very, very much invested personally in the fund with our own personal money. And when we noticed that we are successful with our own trading and investing, we decided to start the fund. Now, just to clarify, when I say successful, I'll explain the basics of it, and I'll explain the reasons that we decided that we are successful. So obviously, you can't argue with numbers. I mean, if we made significant profits, then you can't argue with it. But it's not just about the profits that we generated already on a personal level. It's much more than that. It's because we are industry veterans, because every single person on the team, and I'm talking about the core team of Cointelligence Fund, and I'm talking about the advisors, they got personal, serious, in-depth experience within the industry. So just to give you two examples of our advisors, so one of our advisors is Ben Lifshitz, the chief scientist of Brave browser, which is a very well-known project in the industry. But it's not just about Brave. It's about the fact that Ben is one of the leading academic people in our industry, and he published more than 100 different research papers for cryptocurrency. And he really knows his stuff, as they say. So that's just one example. And another example is an advisor that had experience with trading in the traditional markets. And I'm not mentioning his name because he prefers to remain anonymous for his privacy, but he's been doing trading on the stock exchanges for more than 30 years. And then he understood how to convert his traditional markets knowledge into cryptocurrency, which is not something that you can say about many people, by the way. It's funny when you look at Wall Street traders, and most of them don't have a clue about cryptocurrency trading. And even the ones that do have a clue, they are not always successful as much as they were with the traditional markets. And to finalize my answer, so beside all of that, since we are so much into crypto, and I think that it's a huge part of the fact that we were comfortable creating the fund, is because not only we've been successful and not only we are a part of this industry on all of its different parts, if it's technology, if it's legal and regulation, if it's research, if it's education, and so on and so on. Beside all of that, we are such huge believers in this industry, and we actually think that it is already changing the world and will continue to change the world. Then I think that it gives us a great advantage, because when you are so much into something, then it's just you put your heart into it. And that's the biggest thing about startups, by the way, that I've seen. When founders put their heart into it, it makes it a huge advantage to the success of the startup.
That's great. So Aaron, I just wanted you, for us who have less knowledge about what a crypto fund is, to give us the basics on what it is and what a crypto fund means.
Yep. So a crypto fund does exactly what it says on the tin, right? It invests in crypto, but it isn't. It's easier said than done. So cryptocurrencies, you cannot compare a crypto fund to a fund that invests in listed securities, in stock, your regular stocks and bonds. That world, that traditional finance world, is very, very well established. If you have a fund and open an account with a custodian, then you can be pretty certain that your shares and your bonds, everything is going to be kept safely for you. You will be able to call upon it as at any point. All of these things. Although we In the crypto space, a lot of people will argue against me and say, hey, there have also been a lot of problems with banks over the years. But from a legal and regulatory perspective, things are tried and tested. It's easier to set up. The regulator understands it a bit better. The service providers also. Whereas when it comes to crypto, it's a completely new asset class. Safekeeping requirements are completely different to what you find in the traditional capital markets. There is a big amount of education that happens with everyone. So that can be with the bank, that can be with fellow directors, the administrator, the auditor, even when such administrators have already developed a certain level of expertise in crypto, there are always fund managers, crypto fund managers that come with new ideas. The industry itself is evolving at an extremely fast pace. So you're coming to grips with DeFi, and the next big thing will come along, and it's just very difficult to keep up for anyone who's in the industry. So even worse for someone who is not doing this full time. So that is what a crypto fund does, and those are the issues. And I would say having someone like he's like the best case scenario for having a client to set up a crypto fund, simply because he's been working at calling out people. He's been doing him and his team at Cointelligence. They've done so many research papers. They've done so many due diligence checks on all of the different exchanges. So when he comes from the crypto world, but with a regulatory mindset, then you know that it's going to be a lot easier to set up a fund with him, because he's going to have most of the answers. And if not, he will come up with them. So setting crypto funds up as a regulated fund structure, I think it's very important to mention. The unregulated private funds that we can set up in Gibraltar serve their purpose, but if we're taking third-party money, if you want to go out and promote your crypto fund, then you're looking at the regulated experienced investor fund in Gibraltar. And that also has the additional hurdle of getting the fund approved by the regulator. And again, there may be an educational piece there if there's a new strategy, or if there are new players in for example, a new exchange that is being used, or a different blockchain, whatever it is. So those are the kind of issues that we encounter regularly with crypto funds.
Okay, thank you. I think more or less I followed most of it. Well, I'm going to plug you, because one of the things that I really love about Cointelligence is that on your website, for some of the people who are attending who I know are really, really interested in the tech part, you have free courses as part of your academy. So anybody who's attending today, head over to the Cointelligence website and check out what they offer, because there is a lot of knowledge available there. And actually, what I was going to ask you next is, what are your plans and what are you looking to do with the Cointelligence Fund?
Sure. So first of all, our main focus and main agenda starting next year is going to be institutionals. And right now we are onboarding private investors according to the regulation and the rules. But since it is, and that was our plan, since it is a fully regulated fund, it is going to be, it might be lucrative for institutionals. And combining with the success that we are expecting to have this year, then we're hoping to onboard a few of them next year. Beside that, my second plan for the fund is to support the crypto ecosystem as much as possible, which means that we are also planning to invest in different crypto startups, speaking of startups, and we are hoping to be able to help them much more than just investing. And again, this comes from the background that I have with everything about mentoring and advising. And some of the Cointelligence Fund team members got similar backgrounds to mine. And we are planning to invest in crypto startups and to help them grow and to become much better and much bigger. And beside all of that, the most important part for me to continue doing, as much as our focus is the Cointelligence Fund right now, is the education part. Because as much as Bitcoin exploded in the last few months or this year, it's nothing yet. I mean, the crypto industry is so young. It's only the beginning now. I was saying for the last 3.5 years, up until a couple of months ago, I was saying that it's not even the beginning yet. It's like the pre-phase to the industry. And now it's where we're starting. It's when everybody realized that crypto is here to stay. There are a few governments that are still stupidly fighting crypto. One example is India, that continues to fight and continues to hurt its citizens by banning crypto and at least banning parts of crypto activities. And in other cases, we've seen China banning cryptocurrency trading up until now, which is so pathetic because China was the first and the most advanced country for CBDCs, and they're banning cryptocurrency, which obviously shows us that they want to be in complete control, but they don't have a problem with cryptocurrencies. They just have a problem with losing control.
Yeah.
So we still have problems with governments. We still have huge problems with banks. Just as an example, I'm originally from Israel. Speaking of startup nation, as it's called, which is completely pathetic with regards to crypto because most people in Israel can't even convert their crypto to fiat. And unfortunately, people still can't live on crypto. It is evolving, and in a few years, maybe it will be possible, even though you can use debit cards for cryptocurrencies. But in Israel, for example, most companies are not operational because it's a too small market for them, because the regulation is too difficult for them, and so on and so on. So we still have a very, very, very long way to go. And it's much more than Cointelligence Fund. It's much more about the crypto industry. And I'm hoping that we will be able to continue our education and to get as many people as possible into the industry in a right way, in a way that will not be promoting a specific project, a specific coin. We are always staying away from any coin wars or any preference for one specific cryptocurrency. The only thing that we are not ignoring is scammers, and we're calling them out. But other than that, everybody is welcome, all types of projects. And I know that some of the Bitcoin maxis don't like when I say these things, but that's my opinion.
Well, I think you're a very positive advocate for the industry in terms of how you are handling the work that you're doing within it. So good. It's great to hear. Aaron, back with you. I just wanted you to tell me about what you feel are the advantages of. I was just going to ask you about setting up a crypto fund in Gibraltar, but also since we have touched so much on startups today, which is great, what are the advantages you feel are tangible for anybody looking to set up a crypto startup, a crypto fund in Gibraltar?
Yep, and I've just seen that Paul has. Hi, Paul. Thanks for being here again. Has posted 2 questions, and maybe I can answer his second one as well with this one. But it's not in Gibraltar. There isn't something that is extremely special about setting up the fund here. What we have is we have legal and regulatory certainty, so we know what the rules are, we know where the boundaries lie, we know what the regulator does or does not accept. So when we have a client come to us wanting to set up a crypto fund, we can give them certainty. We do not waste their time. If they can do what they want to do, we'll say yes. If they can't, we'll give them a quick no. We don't like doing what other jurisdictions do, Malta being the prime example, which is a very, very, very slow no. So that is, I think, what our main benefit. And then with the service providers, I think it's also very important. I see we have Nigel here listening in. I always tell with COVID it's been a bit harder, but I always tell clients, if you can, come over, because you can meet the service providers face to face, and they always end up with a great impression of Gibraltar generally, because they've gone to the bank, they've gone to the regulator, they've gone to government, maybe even met government officials. They speak to accountants, lawyers, and everyone has at least a base level of understanding on what crypto is. And I think that gives them a lot of confidence. And I think that is what helps them make the decision to come to Gibraltar. And that's without taking anything away from the fact that our regulatory regime, the Experienced Investor Fund, works extremely well. It is light touch in the sense that there are no heavy diversification requirements or borrowing restrictions or restrictions on asset classes. As long as you set out clearly what the fund will be investing in, what the strategy is, and you stick to that, and you provide, of course, you mitigate any risks that would be present in a fund of that kind. Then the EIF regime allows you to set it up here in Gibraltar in a regulated manner with your two local EIF directors, which is also very important. It is where it is a major part of the comfort that the regulator gets from giving the fund the actual license to operate. So I think that is what Gibraltar offers. As I say, I don't think it's anything special, just we do the simple things right. And with respect to Paul's question, we are seeing all sorts. What we're seeing a lot now are funds, crypto funds that want exposure to the decentralized finance space, the DeFi space. There are a lot of opportunities with staking, with the liquidity pools, that type of thing. They're getting huge returns on investment, and it's kind of the hype now. We do not know how long it's going to last, but that seems to be the latest trend. But we do have other types of funds, like mentioned by Paul, which is funds that are set up. They're investing in crypto-related companies, but they're investing in the equity, in the shares of that company. So it's an indirect exposure to crypto, but the fund itself holds shares generally it's in a private equity manner. And then ON's fund is actually the first fund which I've set up, which is primarily a fund of funds. So it's been good to see that approach as well, where you have on analyzing other crypto funds and then deciding which ones he wants to invest in or not. So yes, a bit of a mix, but I would say the trend is currently on DeFi.
Excellent. So
Luis, if I can add to that,
yes,
please. Aaron. Okay, so a few things. First, Aaron, you actually made me think now that I think that we are the first fully regulated fund of funds, crypto fund of funds in the world. I don't actually know any other fully regulated fund of funds. But there are a few others that are non-regulated that I know. But that's not what I wanted to say. I wanted to say a few things. First of all, Gibraltar is amazing for a few reasons. And speaking of research, we've done research for more than 6 months before we decided on Gibraltar. And I'll explain why we chose that jurisdiction. First of all, because of what Aaron said, it is completely clear what you get in GIB. I mean, you can't go wrong. You have the framework. It's not a pretend to be framework like many other jurisdictions. And we do have a few jurisdictions that are very famous in the crypto industry to be known for funds or for crypto ventures in general, but you don't have real regulation there. And the founders are not even aware of it. And they get into a lot of trouble when things progress and advance. The second reason is because of the service providers. In GIB, you actually have knowledgeable, experienced service providers. Now, Hassans, for example, they've been around since I joined the industry, and they already had a good reputation back then. So it's been 3.5 years on top of that with real practical experience with crypto companies. And nothing beats experience. I mean, no matter what you tell me, I will always prefer somebody that is much more experienced than another person or another company, if they are really experienced and really knowledgeable, because you can learn as much as you want. But when you do things practically, and that's what I always explain everyone, I mean, you can go and learn business at business school. Until you don't do business yourself, you will never be a businessman. You will never really understand business. And nobody can teach you that in business school. And beside everything that I mentioned, the speed, the things are actually happening in Gibraltar with a good speed. And especially when it's a fully regulated entity, it's so crucial. And Aaron knows how much it's killing me, because I'm used to be an entrepreneur. I'm used to take care of things instantly. Everything is being handled within minutes. And here, I have my directors. I have full regulation. Everything needs to be cleared. Everything needs to be signed off. Everything that I do, everything that I think needs to be signed off. And on one hand, it's awful for an entrepreneur and for somebody that is used to the startup life. On the other hand, it's amazing, because it makes it's much better to be in a situation where you're much more careful and you can avoid making mistakes or avoid having problems in the future. And now Aaron and I are smiling at each other, but Aaron needs to bash me from time to time and put me in my place, so everything will be done exactly as it should be done. And it can be a pain in the ass, but it's much better this way. And the last thing that I will say is that in general, and it doesn't have to do anything with my personal experience, in general, I think that some of the main Western countries, like the US, the UK, some countries in Europe, they are doing a horrible mistake. I mentioned before the problems that we're still having with governments. On top of that, regulators, they don't have a clue on what they're doing. Seriously, I mean, it is improving and it's much better now, but we have regulators that are supposed to regulate everything about tokens, because it's obvious by now that tokenization is the future. Actually, we are building a class as we speak right now at Cointelligence Academy for tokenization. It's obvious it's the future for so many things, not just the financial markets. And you have regulators in some of the main Western countries that don't have a clue about token economics. They don't even understand the concept. I'm not even talking about building token economics or auditing token economics. That's a different level. I'm talking about actually just understanding the minimal concept of it and what you can do with it. And it is improving, but it's a way, way, way long way to go before we are there. And I think that if we're looking at the Gibraltar government and the different authorities in Gibraltar, I think that the level of understanding is much, much higher than in many, many other territories, including the ones that are very pro-crypto.
Well, you just very passionately answered my last question to you, which was, how is Gibraltar a good fit for the industry? Answer. I didn't actually, pay you or bribe you to say that, but yes, I think that what we have done in the work in this space, and when I say we, when Gibraltar's jurisdiction has done in this space, has been nothing short of amazing. There are many things that where there's room for improvement, there always is, but one of the major topics of our Startup Grind events in Gibraltar has been the industry, because we launched at the same time of the announcement of DLT regulations. So we've kind of fed into that, and it's been incredible to learn about all these amazing projects. I'm going to stop asking now. I'm going to hand it over to the attendees, who I hope have been able to drop some questions in the Q&A box. So we'll bring Mark back, and he's going to handle the Q&A for us. But that was great. It was very insightful, and it was very positive, which obviously is something that we like to share. Inspirational.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. It was a really good chat. I totally agree. The Q&A box is a little bit quiet. Aaron, you sort of answered Paul's second question already, very elegantly there, I might add. We've got one other question from Paul, but I'd encourage anyone else, we've got the 15 minutes we have left, to post questions in the box. In the meantime, I will ask you this one of Paul's here. He says, on a slight tangent, but still fund related, what is your view on the ETF applications in the US? And with the change at the top of the SEC, will crypto and crypto ETFs be treated differently?
So I can start answering that. Aaron, if you have anything to add, feel free. I'm talking about it in general, not as a lawyer. So I think that first, the delays that we are seeing are unreasonable. I didn't expect to have approvals last year or the year before, but this year it should have happened already. And I think that there's a lot of politics behind the decisions with regards to the different ETF applications. And I think that the regulators are being extremely cautious. Specifically, I'll refer to the US regulator. I think that they're being extremely cautious when they shouldn't in this case. And they are being much less cautious in other cases where they should be more cautious. So I don't really understand their logic when it comes to their calculations. Maybe I am missing something. But to be honest, to tell people that, and I've read an article explaining the different reasons, and I think there is an announcement that was made in the last few days, maybe yesterday, that the US regulator thinks that the volatility is there's too much volatility, and because of that, it's not the right time to approve it. I don't know, maybe that specific person missed what's going on with the stock markets in the last year, considering coronavirus situation. And maybe the same regulator is ignoring the fact that the US government and other governments are printing money out of nothing. And if we're talking about unstable anything, it should be fiat, not crypto, to be honest. And on top of that, I will say that definitely there's a huge difference between traditional markets, ETFs, and crypto ETFs, because of what I mentioned before. Crypto is a completely different ballgame. You can't apply the laws and the rules from the traditional markets for crypto. And you definitely can't treat ETFs or anything else related to crypto the way that you treated anything before that. It's exactly the same with the fact that, okay, maybe you can apply some of the security laws with regards to crypto securities, if it's security tokens and so on and so on. But you can't really apply it to DeFi. You can't really apply it to utility tokens. You can't even think about it in the same thought. It's absolutely impossible to even write anything related to laws with regards to crypto, depending on what we had before. It's very similar to trying and regulate emails compared to the regular post. So it's just impossible, no matter how you do it. But that's not in a legal perspective. Maybe Aaron has anything to say much more legally than what I just said.
No, I think I agree with you. What I wanted, you're better placed to answer the second part of Paul's question is, what is the feeling over there in the US with the new head of the SEC? What we hear from this part of the world, it's all very positive for crypto, but what's it like on the ground there?
And I would also say that just to clarify, so until now, the SEC, the regulator in the US, also determined that Bitcoin and Ethereum are completely decentralized, and they are considered to, and they're not considered to be securities. But when you compare it to other projects, and that's the reason that I'm saying that so many decisions are political decisions and not really logical decisions, and nobody can actually explain them. Why did they have settlements with other crypto projects, or actually indicted other crypto projects when they did exactly the same thing that Ethereum did? Because the same thing happened. We had an ICO, we had expectations of growth, and so on and so on and so on. So it's really ridiculous sometimes, and the same applies to the ETF applications. As I said, it should have been approved a long time ago.
Excellent.
Okay.
Do we have anything else?
One more for Paul.
These are quite heavy questions, I have to say. Paul, I'm going to tell you off next time I see you.
We have still a bit more time, so yeah, I'll read this one out. Call me Elon. It starts. One question just for a bit of fun and no other reason. Best guess for Bitcoin price 31st of December 2021. Thank you, On, for your very kind words on our jurisdiction, and thanks to all for arranging and attending and speaking.
So that's easy.
With or without financial advice?
Yes, without financial advice. First, I'll say that anyone predicting the price is gambling. So you can go to the casino, you can play blackjack, you can put your money on roulette. It's exactly the same thing. But having said that, I can tell you that from my personal experience, usually, if you look at the long term, you see Bitcoin rising in price all the time. And I don't care about the crashes. I mean, I do care about the crashes, or I would say the crashes, because some of them are not really crashes. I do care about them because it's a great opportunity to buy more. So with that regard, that's a system that I have up until now, and it's working very well. When Bitcoin crashes, I buy more. And it's the same, and it's one of the strategies that we also have for Cointelligence Fund. Obviously, we're not going to implement that strategy too much because we have much better options. But I would say that on the long run, on the long term, it will continue to grow. Yes, I'm one of these people that think that one Bitcoin will be worth 1 million at some point. I don't think it's going to happen by the end of the year and not by the end of next year, but it's probably going to happen during my lifetime. And I am very much against the prediction of specific prices. So I'm not even going to give an estimate for the end of the year.
Aaron, anything to add there?
Yeah. No, maybe we should ask Paul a question, and and I would say, when is he going to help us with one thing that is missing in the crypto ecosystem here in Gibraltar, which is, going back to his questions actually, is I think something like the Gibraltar Stock Exchange, which we were all hoping was going to be so great for us as as a security token exchange. For me, I feel that that's low-hanging fruit. I think we could have a Gibraltar Stock Exchange, Gibraltar Security Tokens Exchange, and allow us to list ETFs, have them regulated and listed here in Gibraltar. I think it would add a lot of value and make us an even stronger jurisdiction, or a crypto jurisdiction moving forward.
So even more potential for the space. Good thinking. I think obviously in this space, I only feel like everything that we can create is an asset for Gibraltar within the regulated and reputational jurisdiction for crypto that we've become. So I'm just going to wrap up and say thank you very, very much for joining us on. We hope to welcome you in Gibraltar sometime soon, because we have the green light and we are so excited that we are now completely safe, almost 85%, I think, vaccinated adult population. So not just a great jurisdiction for crypto, but a great jurisdiction to feel that you're being properly taken care of. I think everybody has worked really hard. The community has worked really hard to make sure that Gibraltar, the small but powerful in terms of what we can do to ensure people come to us and feel good about that. So again, quickly, thank you very much, Mark, who's the co-director of this chapter. Thanks to you both for all of your insights today. Gibraltar Finance, Abacus Gibraltar, and Gib Telecom are sponsors. And I think that's it for today, unless you want to add anything else.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thanks.